Stop scrolling for 1 second, because in the next few minutes, you are going to see the exact car that sat in your driveway, and you are going to feel something you weren't expecting. This isn't just another car list. This is the decade you actually lived through, brought back in full color. The smell of vinyl seats, the sound of a sliding door, the hum of an engine you'd know blindfolded. One of these 8 cars was involved in a moment nearly 100 million Americans watched live on television. You'll know exactly which one the second we say it. Another one was quicker than a Mustang GT, and almost nobody remembers that today. Stick around, because by the time we get to car number 6, most of you are going to stop what you're doing completely. Let's go back to the 1990s. There is something about the 1990s that nobody who lived through it can quite explain to somebody who didn't. And most of that feeling, believe it or not, is tied up in cars, because back then, a car wasn't just a way to get to the grocery store, it was where your family actually lived for a big chunk of your life. And if you are watching this video right now, there is a very good chance you can still smell the vinyl seats and hear the specific rattle of your own car's glove box. So let's start with the car that quietly took over America before most people even noticed. The Honda Accord, which by 1990 had already become the best-selling car in the entire United States and would hold that title through 1992, beating out every single offering from Ford, Chrysler, and General Motors combined. And the reason wasn't flashy commercials. It was something simpler and more honest. The Accord was reliable in a way American families had almost stopped expecting from any car. It started every morning, it didn't nickel and dime you with repairs, and it just kept running long after payments were finished. Which meant that for millions of working families, the Accord wasn't a status symbol. It was a promise kept. And that kind of quiet trust is exactly why so many of you watching right now remember riding in the back seat of one on the way to school. Now shift over to the car that Ford built almost by accident and turned into a legend, the Ford Taurus, because in its second generation, the Taurus SHO, that's super high output, came with a Yamaha-designed 3.0-liter V6 engine, later bumped to 3.2 liters, producing 220 horsepower with a redline that screamed up to 7,000 RPM, paired to a 5-speed manual transmission designed with help from Mazda. And here is the detail that stops people in their tracks every single time we tell them. There was a stretch in the early 1990s when a Ford Taurus SHO, a family sedan, was actually quicker off the line than a Ford Mustang GT. Think about that for a second. The same badge, one built for the school run and one built to be a muscle car. And the family sedan won. But the Taurus wasn't just about speed. For millions of Americans, it was simply the car, the one every neighbor seemed to own, the one rental car counters handed out by the thousands, the one that made the Taurus, for a few years running, the actual best-selling car in the entire country. Now let's talk about the vehicle that changed the shape of the American family forever. The Dodge Caravan, because before the minivan, getting 6 kids, 2 dogs, a stroller, and 3 weeks of groceries into one vehicle was a genuine logistical nightmare. And the Caravan solved it. It wasn't the most efficient vehicle on the road, it wasn't the prettiest, and it certainly wasn't the smoothest ride you'd ever experienced, but it didn't need to be any of those things, because it did one thing better than almost anything else on 4 wheels. It held your entire life, kids in the back, cargo behind them, a sliding door that let Grandma climb in without bending her knees. And that is why so many of you are nodding right now, because the Caravan wasn't a car people bragged about at parties. It was the car that quietly made an entire decade of family road trips possible. And speaking of vehicles that changed how families thought about the open road, we have to talk about the Jeep Cherokee, specifically the XJ generation that ran from 1984 all the way through 1996 and beyond. because this was the vehicle that essentially invented the modern SUV as we know it, tough enough for gravel roads and camping trips, but small enough to actually fit in a normal garage, and under the hood many of these ran a 4.0-liter inline-six engine that mechanics to this day still call nearly bulletproof, meaning it would run for hundreds of thousands of miles with basic maintenance. And if you ask anyone who owned one, they'll tell you it wasn't just transportation, it was freedom. The kind of vehicle that could take you to church on Sunday and up a muddy trail on Saturday without complaint. Now here's where things get personal for a lot of you, because next we have the Toyota Camry. And if reliability had a face, in the 1990s it would have been this one. Toyota built the Camry the way other companies built things meant to survive a war. Over-engineered, over-tested, and stubbornly dependable. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't going to turn heads in a parking lot, but it was going to start every single morning for 15 years without asking for much in return. And that quiet dependability is exactly why the Camry became, and stayed, one of the best-selling cars in America. Because, for a certain kind of buyer, the kind raising kids and paying a mortgage and just trying to get through the week, boring wasn't an insult. Boring was the whole point. But the next car on this list didn't just live in driveways across America. It lived on live television, in one of the most watched moments of the entire decade. And that brings us to car number 6, the one that will hit you right in the chest, the Ford Bronco. Because on June 17, 1994, a white Ford Bronco carrying O.J. Simpson was followed by police down a Los Angeles freeway, while nearly 100 million Americans stopped whatever they were doing and watched it live on television. And in one single afternoon, a car that had already been a beloved family SUV for decades became one of the most recognized vehicles in American history. And here's the strange part. Sales of white Broncos actually spiked afterward. Because that is simply how deeply American car culture and American memory are tangled together. One image, one afternoon, and a car that had been quietly hauling families around for years suddenly became a piece of history that people still talk about more than 30 years later. And if the Bronco represents the chaos of the decade, our next car represents the exact opposite, pure comfort. And that is the Buick LeSabre. The car so many of you had a grandparent drive, soft suspension tuned to smooth out anything short of a small earthquake, seats that felt more comfortable than most living room furniture, and a cabin so quiet you could hear yourself think. The LeSabre wasn't built to impress anyone. It was built to be the car your father borrowed when his was in the shop, the car you inherited when you needed something dependable and couldn't afford to be picky. And for an entire generation, it represented something simple and honest. A reward for decades of hard work. A car that finally asked nothing of you and gave you everything. And finally, we come to the car that patrolled nearly every American town for a decade straight, the Chevrolet Caprice, which for years was the standard-issue police cruiser and taxi across the country, built body-on-frame, simple, durable, and nearly impossible to kill, and while it never had the glamour of a sports car, it earned something more lasting. It earned trust from police departments, from taxi drivers, from families who bought the same platform for its sheer bulletproof reliability. And today, decades later, seeing a Caprice cruiser roll by in an old photograph or a rerun of a 90s cop show brings back a very specific feeling for anyone who lived through that era. A feeling of order, of familiarity, of a simpler kind of American street. Now, here's the part that nobody talks about enough. Almost none of these 8 cars are still made today in anything close to their original form. The Bronco disappeared for decades before Ford brought it back as something almost unrecognizable to the original. The Caprice, as a civilian sedan, vanished from Chevrolet's lineup entirely.